Back when I was a child, I used to have an old book. I mean, I had all my stuff stolen years ago, but there was an old book I had, which was a book of receipts. And it was receipts from people who'd done various jobs for other people. Someone might have gone and built a fence for somebody. And they would be given a receipt for that work. And the receipt for that work would be a recipe. And the recipe might be how to go to certain trees and collect certain saps and mix them together to make certain forms of glue. Something you didn't know before, a life skill you didn't have before. The person who knew how to do that, use that glue, or knew how to make the fence or whatever, might be able to go and see someone else. You know, they wanted a fence built or whatever, they wanted something glued together. You could show them how to make the glue so they could glue the things together themselves. And you wouldn't, like even when I'm saying the guy would build the fence and he'd get a recipe in return, and what he would do is he'd go and teach the guy how to build the fence, and in turn the guy would teach him how to make the glue. Then you'd be able to take that recipe, go somewhere else and build a fence, teach a guy how to make some glue. He'd show you how to make a wagon wheel. Things like this, there were life skills that were traded, because back then you could just go and find a piece of land, build a house, do whatever you wanted to do. If you needed something done, you'd go and find somebody who knew how to do that, and you get them to teach you how to do it. Even if they had to come to your house and teach you how to do it, they'd come and do it for you, but you'd do it with them, and in return, you'd teach them, well, this is how I built my house, or this is how I made a wagon wheel, or this is how I made some glue, or this is how I grew a crop, or this is how I did whatever. So we were actually trading in life skills, so really the currency was integrity. And this is completely testified as being a form of currency by the existence of these books of receipts, which you can still probably find. So, you know, this is a form of currency. Integrity and skills, life skills, is a form of currency. We've had all that taken away from us. Now everything's done for us, which is why people find it so difficult to step outside the system, why they're so terrified of the system breaking down. Because they don't have any of these life skills. They don't know how to do anything for themselves. Most people don't even know which direction the wind comes from, which direction the rain comes from, or which direction they should build a lean-to shelter. They wouldn't know how to survive a storm, even, if they were out by themselves in the forest. You know, things that were basic skills that everybody used to know how to do. They wouldn't know how to divine for water, or how to find water, or how to fish, or how to hunt, or how to trap, or how to whatever. You know, so we've lost so many skills. And that's been the problem with our society. That's been the problem with everything. This is something that I said way back in the beginning of my first film, The Big Picture. You know, what the internet has done, what all this automation has done, is it's caused a huge loss of life skills, and that's the big issue. We're being set up through this loss of life skills. It is. The narrative is falling apart. No matter how much they're trying to pretend it isn't. This is why they've got to create this bureau of disinformation. Because anything that tells you the truth now is disinformation. I mean, the whole world's gone backwards. It's like cloud world. There's an easy way to get through it, folks. All you need is really the basic requirements to be able to figure out what's going on. And yeah, it's not too hard. If you've got one of those, well, things should work out, as long as there's more than two cells in there to rub together. It's crazy. Well, Max should never provide any solutions. Now, people want a form, they want a plan, they want someone to hand them a form and say, well, here's a plan, here's my plan for your salvation. All you've got to do is do what I say and do this A, B, C, D, and you're going to get to point X, where everything's going to be fine. And by even wanting that, you're just asking for someone else to lead you. You're afraid to lead yourself. And that's what this is an opportunity to do, to rediscover yourself and to realise that you need to lead yourself. The fact that we're not prepared to lead ourselves is what's caused this problem to begin with. Now, it's an important lesson here for mankind if we choose to actually look at the lesson and learn from the lesson. People want solutions. They don't realise that they are the solution. You've got to change your perspective, and you've got to readjust how you look at the world and how you interact with people. Stop buying into all the division. Stop buying into all the animosity. Stop thinking everybody is a shill and all this sort of stuff. Get back in touch with what it means to be you. This is something so many people have forgotten, how to actually be human. What it's like to live without the technology. We never had this technology. 20 years ago we didn't have any of this shit, so why are we so dependent on it now? 20 years ago we didn't have any of it. But offering people solutions and what is the solution to all this? And as I keep saying, the solution is for you to rediscover yourself. That's really how to get through it, because this has to play out. And so what you've got to do, like I said, is do the shadow work. Find these things about yourself that you need to heal. Find out what your addictions are. Find out what it is that keeps you locked into this system and even makes you sad that the system is about to implode. Because I'm not sad about it at all. I think it's great that the system is falling apart. We don't need the system. I mean, sure, a lot of people will suffer, and that's bad, but that's their own fault because they never learn. They never learned along the way. They never learned self-responsibility. They never learned what it means to be human. They always wanted someone else to come along and fix things for them. But true freedom is based in self-responsibility, folks. That's what it is. You've got to be responsible for yourself, responsible for your own actions, responsible for looking out for your own life, looking after your own life, responsible for everything that happens in that life. If you're not prepared to do that, you'll never be free. Because that's what freedom is. A lot of people don't get that. I saw a really interesting concept the other day presented. I'm not saying it's true, but it's interesting. The whole concept that the world ended in 2012. But we all died simultaneously in 2012. They were all part of a collective consciousness. But that collective consciousness died in 2012. And we are kind of in that little after period. But when you die, according to doctors and medical people, when you die, your heart stays alive, or your brain stays alive for 7 minutes after death. And you're in that kind of a dream state. But in that 7 minutes, I mean, that's 7 minutes, that would be 7 minutes to a doctor observing the event. But for you in that dream state, that could be, it could seem like years. There's a theory that we all died in 2012 and we're currently in that dream state and we're in a type of purgatory, figuring out what type of reality we want to manifest, because it's all a collective consciousness. Interesting theory. Would explain the Mandela effect. It would explain why so much has seemed kind of strange in the last 10 years. Interesting concept. Now, like I said, I don't know that there's any validity to it, but it's certainly an interesting concept. It would explain so many things if we were sort of suddenly in some sort of a parallel universe, or in some sort of purgatory, or in some sort of in-between world. There was a virtual world that seemed real, and perhaps there's a cleansing taking place within that space, and they're getting rid of all of the defective bits of consciousness. Hey, take them off you go. Go into the mainframe, stay trapped there. You can't prevent